Hi guys, this is Ranjit and this will be the last tech Q&A session for 2022 and I've got a bunch of very interesting questions and some controversial questions also that we will be taking. Let's answer that and I'll be also answering this question. This is a very interesting question that I got regarding YouTube. Becoming a full-time YouTuber, what do I feel about it? Been doing this for about 12 years. So I'll also answer that and some very interesting questions. So let's get on with this one. And the first question that I got is from Udin. He's asking, how do you feel about the mid-range and premium mid-range devices this year? I've noticed that the pricing, especially the Samsung M50 and 830 series, have been overpriced in my opinion. What are your expectations for the next year regarding this? Yes, we have seen the price segment not only for Samsung. Yes, Samsung obviously for the M and A series increased the price quite a bit, I feel, especially for the A series. But if you notice, even with other brands, Realme, take it, Xiaomi, you take it, Redmi, etc., all of them actually, particularly in the mid-range price band, have changed. Now we can no longer say that the 15 to 17,000 is a mid-range smartphone. I would say the pricing has increased. Now the good mid-range smartphones are hovering around the 24 to 26,000. In fact, just about a week ago, I was invited by Xiaomi to their headquarters and I had a chat with Anuj, AMA session where I could ask him any questions and I raised this points and he explained to me why the pricing has now shifted and we will not find premium mid-range smartphones in that 15 to 18,000 price band. So it has moved across all the brands. It's not just specific to Samsung, but yeah, you're right, the A series has increased like crazy. But now I think so earlier what price bands we used to call some good phones in the 15 to 20, now they have been increased at least by about 5,000. That's the thing that I have noticed. Even if you talk about the Realme 10 Pro Plus, now that was at about 25,000. Earlier, about two years ago, we could have got similar kind of phones, not exactly that, at around 20,000. So yes, the pricing has definitely increased. And I don't think so the pricing will come down, because I did ask Anuj, he's the CMO of Xiaomi, so he has a lot of data. So I asked him this question also casually later on. That was not in the video that I shot. He said, no, the pricing will not come down in 2023. In fact, there are a lot of still issues going on in the supply chain and other things. This is by Mr. Ghosh. He's asking, please answer my question. Can I use the iPhone 12 mini in 2023? I love the compact smartphone and want to have the mini as my secondary driver with some basic apps like WhatsApp, PhonePe. I won't be using for video recording. Please suggest it's worth it to go for 12 mini for in 2023. You can go with the 12 mini if you like the form factor and everything, but the only issue I had with the 12 mini, and I know people who have used the 12 mini, they like the form factor and everything, but the battery life is very, very average on a 12 mini. But as you told, if you're just going to use it as a secondary phone, so I guess it's not going to be used extensively, then you can go with it. But again, if you're a sort of a heavy user, then don't expect great battery life with the 12 mini. That's the problem with that device. Anyways, moving to the next one. This is by Pratik. Moto Edge 30 Ultra or iPhone 13? Very interesting question. Normal to high usage, will use the phone for 3 or 4 years. I've heard that some issues on the Moto Edge 30 Ultra, like app crashes, etc. First thing I would say, decide what you want. Do you want an Android phone or do you want an iPhone? Android versus iOS. So decide that. If front-facing camera is your highest priority, then I would not suggest the Moto Edge 30 Ultra, because still after a lot of updates, I feel the front-facing camera has that color tint. The rear-facing camera is a lot better. I would say not an issue, but the front-facing is having. So if you don't take selfies, you can go with it. Battery life is very good. I like the phone. So again, decide on it. If you don't take a lot of selfies, I'm sorry, I'll just have some water and I'll continue. So continuing, so in a nutshell, I would say if you are gravitating towards an Android phone, the Moto Edge 30 Ultra is a very good smartphone. But as I've told you, the front-facing camera is just not good. But if you like iOS, yeah, you can go with the iPhone 13. In fact, the battery life also I really like on the Ultra, and that has that 120 watt super fast charging. This is by Dr. Pick the best tech and innovation you have seen this year, and a tech that you use almost every day since long and you think everybody else should also try. To be very frank, Doc, this year I didn't find any gadget or anything that was really highly compelling. For example, last year, if you would have asked, I would say the MacBook Air M1 was a game changer. Now I have the M1 Pro, but again, I won't say this is a game changer, though I use it every day for my work. But I feel in performance, the MacBook Air M1 was a game changer last year. Sadly, this year, I haven't used any gadget or device that was truly groundbreaking that I had to purchase. I get a lot of products to test out, review, and test it out, and they go back. And generally, if I like a product very, very much, I purchase it. But this year, sadly, there was no product, though I've tested and stuff, that I purchased for myself. So there was no groundbreaking product personally for me this year. If you could talk about cars, yes, I purchased the EV car, that's the Nexon EV, and I'm liking that. In fact, I'm driving it a lot more compared to my other cars. But in gadgets and something, there is no one compelling product that I like. In fact, I purchased the iPhone 14 Pro, but it is utter disappointment, I would say. And I will be just selling it off now. I feel the iPhone 13 Pro was a better product, to be very frank. Among phones, I do feel the Pixel 7 Pro is a good one. Even the regular one, if you don't need the telephoto camera. But nothing groundbreaking, I would say, to be very frank. Do let me know. I would love to know from you guys if there's one gadget or product this year that you find really, really compelling and you just couldn't resist it and you bought it. Personally, for me, nothing that much this year, sadly. This is by Mr. Sahu. Are the Samsung Galaxy tablets finally reached iPads for normal users? Western YouTubers give a cold shoulder to Galaxy tabs every time and blindly recommend the iPads, while I think Galaxy tabs are better for average user who is not much into productivity. I agree with you. The problem with most of the Western YouTubers is that many of them, the iPhone is their primary, smartphone. And if that's the case, then the iPad is a very good complementary device. But I would still say, I personally don't use an iPad as a tablet. I have the older Galaxy Tab S7 Plus, and I like that because it is having an AMOLED screen. And I mostly use my tablets for video consumption and some doing video calls, and in those two aspects that excels. In fact, I had the old iPad Pro and I feel the screen quality on the Samsung Galaxy Tab S7 Plus is far better than that because of the AMOLED screen. But I feel iPad might have an edge in some of the creative apps. For example, if you're doing drawing and all those things, iPad has some very specialty apps. So maybe if you're that kind of a person who use the stylus for drawing and all those things, then it can be a better one for productivity. But for general users, I would say if you're mostly using your tablet for consumption, the Android tablets have become very good, and the flagship Galaxy tablets that come with an AMOLED screen are fabulous. The speakers, everything is fabulous. In fact, this year, though the Tab S8 range came, in fact, I did test out the Ultra, but I didn't purchase it personally, as I've told you, because I was feeling the last year's S7 Plus tablet that I had from Samsung is still doing a great job. That's my frank opinion. But again, I'm not a person who does that fine artwork, etc. on my tablet. Yes, I have the stylus even for the Galaxy Tab. I just use it sometimes to just sign the PDFs and stuff like that. That's it. Anyways, moving to the next one. This is by Bhave Mehta. Smartwatches is one of the fastest growing market, and a lot of brands bringing in quite a few models. Almost all knowledgeable tech reviewers are not much reviewing this segment, unlike smartphones, which has almost got stagnant. If you could touch this segment, reviewing all brands. Mr. Mehta, the problem with the smartwatches, I do wear a lot of smartwatches, I would say. These are not a must-have device. This is again just a casual accessory, and the penetration of smartwatches, true smartwatches, etc., is a very minuscule percentage of market share, I would say. Hence, these are not important device. And the problem is that most of the budget smartwatches that you're talking about, those are less than 10,000 or something. Those are actually not true smartwatches. Those are nothing but glorified smart bands. You get almost 95% of the functionality in the smart bands that you get with the cheaper, smartwatches. Yes, they might have that speaker for taking calls and stuff like that, but apart from that, the true smartwatches are very, very expensive to make. And in the true smartwatches, you have the Apple Watch, you have the Samsung Galaxy Watch, now we have the Pixel Watch. You have a proper assistant, so you don't have to fiddle around with this. You can just use the voice commands to actually get everything done. But again, those smartwatches are pretty expensive. So I feel, again, this market of smartwatch is very, very minuscule, and some of the cheaper watches that you're seeing, that 5,000, 6,000 something, those are not true smartwatches. Those are glorified, smart bands. You can get almost same functionality with a regular smart band that might cost about 2,500 to 3,000 rupees. That's my frank opinion. So again, it's a stagnant category, I would say, because brands also know if you want to make a good proper smartwatch with proper voice assistant, Google Wear and all that, those will be expensive, about 20,000 or so. Anyways, moving to the next one. This is by Suraj. It's almost the end of 2022. When will the deadly combinations of the 8, 5 or 2 megapixel camera going with higher megapixel real cameras come to an end? Okay, this is a very interesting question. I've got various questions similar to this one. And in fact, I did ask a lot of industry, veterans or people who are on the director level, top level. So not with just one brand, with multiple brands, this question. And the simple answer they told me is that, Ranjit, for specifically the mid-range or the premium mid-range market, because these devices are very price competitive, they will simply be not able to offer 3 proper cameras. What do you mean by proper? One, they have to put one good camera. That's the main highlight. They highlight that 64, 108 megapixel, whatever, blah, 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 blah. Next, it's the ultra wide. And the problem with the ultra wide is also, they say that according to market stats, users use the ultra wide pretty less compared to the main camera. So they put most of their focus, the budget that is there for the camera, on the main camera. So that's why we are still seeing 5 megapixel ultra wide. Many of them have gladly now moved to 8 megapixel, but I do see some 5 megapixel, which is very bad. But I feel the industry should move towards at least 12 megapixel ultra wide. And lastly, this I've asked to a lot of brands, why this 2 megapixel camera? And they told me, again, in the mid-range and the premium mid-range market, they have to be very competitive in terms of cost. And let's say a particular brand is releasing, let's say, a smartphone. Nothing is an exception. Nothing didn't put 3 cameras. Let's say a brand is having 3 cameras or 4 cameras. Maybe the last 2 are just 2 megapixel depth or macro. But let's say another brand is just having 2 cameras or 3 cameras. A person who's not that tech savvy, and they say that people who watch my channel, people like you and me, are very small percentage of the market, just about 3 or 4% of the market. That he will just say, oh, this particular brand of smartphone is having 3 or 4 camera setup, okay, whereas the other has only 2 cameras module setup, and they will not buy it, and that's a fact. So I asked them, why just 2 megapixel camera? Instead of this 2 megapixel, you can go with the proper camera setup, like let's say proper telephoto or something. That makes a lot of sense. You can have a good primary camera, ultra wide, and a telephoto. Again, the problem with the telephoto camera, that is a 2x proper or a 3x zoom. Sorry about that. The problem with the 2x or 3x proper telephoto lens is that these are way, way, way expensive. That's why you generally don't see the proper zoom cameras in smartphones less than 40,000 or so. So that's the fact. So again, sadly, even in 2023, for the mid-rangers or even the premium mid-rangers, we will still continue to see the 2 megapixel cameras, because these 2 megapixel cameras are very, very cheap to just put in. And brands, again, because the competing brand is playing the number games, he's having 3 cameras or 4 cameras, they will have to do it. So I don't think so the deadly combination of that 2 megapixel camera is going to come to an end in 2023, at least for mid-ranges or premium mid-ranges. I just hope brands, after a certain price point, let's say 35,000 or even for let's say 40, don't give that 2 megapixel camera. After that 40,000, if you're giving the 2 megapixel camera, is just bonkers, I feel. Anyways, moving to the next one. This is by Dark Rebel. Why are the companies so focused on increasing the wattages of the charger? Won't it degrade the life of the battery in 1 or 2 years? Recently, I saw that one company launched a 240 charger. Yes, I feel in a way you're right, but again, faster charging has been there on a lot of smartphones now. Oppo, Xiaomi has been doing it for a couple of years, and those smartphones are running fine. What they do is that generally for faster charging, they split the battery into 2. That's why they parallelly actually charge them. I feel up to 120 watts is more than enough, because I extensively use the Motorola Edge 30 Ultra, which had the 120 or 125 watt charging, and that charges extremely fast. I don't think so you need even faster charging than that, because if you even forget to charge at night with these 120 watt chargers, charges or something. Even if you just plug it in for just 10 minutes, you get 12 minutes, you get almost more than 50% battery life, and that's good enough, I feel. So yes, I think so. Now it's going in the bonkers range, up to 40 watts or something. Even these laptops actually don't have 240 watt charging. So yes, now it's becoming a bragging right. Oh, this particular smartphone can get fully charged in 17 minutes. Maybe other vendor to up it might release a smartphone that can be charged in 15 minutes. So we are like going into the marketing hype right now. But yeah, around that 90 to 120 watts is a very sweet spot, I would say. I love the Pixel 7 Pro, and I'm used to a lot of smartphones that I test. The only thing that I hate on this smartphone is the charging is actually relatively slow, I would say. And that's the problem with also a lot of Samsung flagships. Of course, Apple, you know, they just don't charge fast. Anyways, moving to the next one. This is by Preetham. Where do you think where do you think of the pricing of the mid-range smartphones will go from 25,000 to whatever in 2023? And what's your take on the Nexon EV? Is it worth the money, or should I go with the ICE variant? Okay, regarding the pricing of the smartphones, I've already addressed it. I don't think so. Now this year we will see a significant increase. As I've told you, the mid-range from that 20-ish thousand market has moved close to about 25,000 price point, and I think so that will be the case even in 2023. I don't think so it will increase drastically, but I don't expect it to come down also. Moving to the Tata Nexon EV Max that I purchased, I'm very, very happy with it. Just love the car, I would say, and I'm driving it way more compared to my other cars. In fact, I've driven it about 2,100 kilometers in just over a month, and I was using petrol cars earlier, so I'm saving a ton of money on fuel. Almost saved more than 25,000 on petrol cost just by the time from the time I purchased the car. So loving it. I'll try to post a video on that on the main channel if you guys want. I've been posting some videos about the Nexon EV Max on my other channel, that is Geekyranjit Rides and Vlogs. Anyways, moving to the next one. This is by OHCYSP. Very interesting. Hello sir, hope you are doing good. I'm doing good. I hope same for you. What is your opinion on the Nothing Phone 1 as of today with the updates that it has received? Do you think it's a best deal for me to take it around 22,000, or should I go for the iQOO 9 or the Moto Edge 30? Which one do you suggest? I've got similar inquiries from quite a few of you regarding what is the state of the Nothing Phone 1. So just about 3 days ago, I had put my main SIM back in the Nothing Phone 1 and updated it, and it got a bunch of updates. Now it has also got the 5G on this, and I've actually tweeted about it. I'm getting the 5G signal. One thing that I noticed immediately is that most of the bugs that I have mentioned in my main review about a couple of months ago, 3-4 months ago, have been now solved. Battery life is excellent. In fact, I was surprised with the camera performance. The camera performance also has increased incredibly on this phone. So overall, it has become very polished, I would say. Still no bloatware or something. I was worried that they might add bloatware with OT updates. That's not the case. So still that clean stock Android experience. The proximity sensor issue, I would say, has been solved to the most extent, but sometimes I'm noticing it on longer calls. But I think so that's because of the Google dialer, because I also had that issue with the Pixel 7 Pro, but just the last update that I got on the Pixel 7 Pro, that's on the Android 13, solved that proximity sensor issue. This Nothing phone is also supposed to get the Android 13 update. I think so the beta is going to be rolled out, so I'll apply the beta and see how it performs. But overall, I would say most of the flaws that I had mentioned in my main review now have been solved. This phone has aged well, and the company is actually fixing the issues what most of the users are having, and in fact also improving the cameras with the update. So yeah, if you're getting it for 22,000, I would say go for it. It's just that small proximity sensor issue that I'm having sometimes. I'm hoping with Android 13 that gets solved. Let's see. This is by Jay. Planning for Dolby Atmos soundbar, but I have an LG OLED. Can I order a Samsung soundbar or need LG soundbar only? And please review IT products series. Boring smartphone. Yes, smartphones are getting boring. I agree. Okay, if you have a LG OLED, in fact, I also have a LG OLED. You can safely buy a latest soundbar because these soundbars actually use ARC, and I'm pretty sure if it's a LG OLED, it'll have ARC connection. Just check the back. There will be one HDMI port where there will be a a bracket called ARC. If it has ARC, you can safely go with the Samsung. In fact, I have a LG OLED and I have a high-end, Samsung soundbar. That was the flagship of last year, not this year's, and it works perfectly fine. No issues. ARC, if your TV has a ARC, you can just put in any soundbar and it will work. This is by Karthik. iPhone 14 Pro, Fold 4 or Fold 3, which would be a good purchase at this price point? Will it be using for next 2 years? Camera and display are top priorities. I would say forget about the Fold 3 because it's slightly older now. Fold 4 and iPhone 14 Pro. I would say I would personally go with the Fold 4 because if you want something new, because iPhone 14 Pro, to be very frank, was nothing radical. That dynamic notch, they made a hoopla about it, but I feel it's a damn distraction, idiotic distraction. In fact, I'm so bored with the iPhone 14 Pro. I put my main SIM on that for 2 days and I just remove it back. That's the reason I haven't reviewed it till now. So yeah, if you want something, if you're okay with the foldables or something, I think so you can go with the Fold 4. Pretty interesting device, but again, the problem with all the Fold series is that they are pretty heavy devices, so it will take at least 2 weeks for you to get used to it, and you got to be careful. Though it's now pretty durable, the Fold, I use the Fold 3 for a year, still it works. So I would personally pick the Fold 4. Again, it comes down to iOS versus Android. What's your preference, I would say? Camera is also not bad on the Fold 4, I would say. Not an issue. This is by Richard. Do you recommend Motorola G42, G52, G72 for senior citizens? I need to buy a phone for my mother. Video calls. YouTube is the main priority. How is the longevity of this affair? Yes, you can certainly go with Motorola G series phones for elders, and that's what I have been actually recommending even in my family. I would say, as you told, YouTube and media consumption is going to be a lot. Or for the one that has the stereo speakers, if I recall, G71 or the G52 had stereo speakers. Go with that one and you'll be very, very happy. Again, no bloatware or no junkware or anything. That's very important for elders, I would say. So yeah, I also in my families, 2 elders actually have started recommending Motorola smartphones because of the clean stock Android experience. This is by Varun. I have a question regarding the MacBook and the laptop. As you have used a lot, both Windows and Macs, MacBook Air M2 capable of handling Adobe After Effects, and if not, then which laptop comes close to the immense power and good portable design? I would say I personally don't use the Adobe After Effects, so I'm not the right person to answer, but I would personally not go with the MacBook Air M2 because it does have some heating issues and all those things. I feel it is not as good as the MacBook Air M1. MacBook Air M1 for the price is still steep, but the M2 is not. M2 is way more expensive, I would say. If you are into this hardcore video editing stuff and all those things, I would recommend you the MacBook Pro M1. You can go with the 14-inch one. Yes, I know it's slightly more than the MacBook Air M2, but I would say it's a far, far better laptop for using heavy apps and stuff. It is designed for that. The cooling, etc. is a lot better on that laptop. That's my frank opinion. Anyways, this is by 2 rupee tweets. This is a very interesting and a controversial question, so let me answer this. This can be a little bit long, but I'll answer it. Is it worth becoming a full-time YouTuber as a primary source of income? Many YouTubers say there is a decline in the revenue generated by YouTube. Yes, many YouTubers are right. I have this YouTube channel for now almost 12 years. So let me talk about it, how it went. Let's go now. Yes, currently, if you're just looking at the YouTube revenue that you get from YouTube, yes, that has certainly decreased quite a bit. I think so. Now I average just about 2.5 lakhs per month. Earlier, it was more than double this, if I recall. But again, I have also cut down on the production and all those things. So yes, if we are just relying on YouTube revenue to run your YouTube channel, it can be actually very difficult because I would say many times if you want to get popular or something, again you have to put in a lot of effort. It takes years and years, and you have to buy a lot of gadgets. And I would say for a couple of years when I was running this YouTube channel, I used to make losses every year if I look at it. rather than making the profit, because the amount of devices I had to purchase and then you even sell it after some time, there was a lot lost. It was not covering the cost, so it can be difficult. But now over time, again, you become popular, everything, then you start getting sponsorships, you can earn some money from affiliate income and all this. In fact, sometimes the affiliate income for me used to be way double than the YouTube revenue that I used to generate. For example, during the sale times and stuff like that, I used to make videos on specifically some good deals on Amazon, Flipkart, blah blah. Flipkart I don't do these days, but yeah, those affiliate income used to be way more compared to what you say the YouTube revenue I use. So these are the other things that you also have to look at it. Yes, I don't think so. If you are just young and if you don't have audience or a reach, brands will come and do collaborations with you and all this thing. But just if you're relying on YouTube revenue, that is the AdSense, it can be difficult. You have to look at other ways also to complement that income. Otherwise, it can become very, very difficult. For example, my overhead expenses before COVID used to be so high. I had staff, I had proper studios and all those things. So I was spending way more than 5 lakhs every month. But the revenue that I was getting just from YouTube ads and all those things was not covering the cost. So now I have scaled down, I would say. Those dedicated studios are gone, staff is gone. Now I do everything myself, video editing, shooting, everything. So again, if you are going to hire a lot of people, again, your overhead costs are going to increase a lot. And then you'll have to look at other ways to complement the income. For example, with affiliate income, do collabs, do other stuff also. And I would say, if you have reached a certain stage, this will take a lot of time. This won't come immediately. If you're in the industry, you have become, and in any industry, I would say it's not just YouTube or whatever. If you are among the top 1%, you will make the money. That's how it is. For example, I know in stock market, people say that a lot of people lose money, but I know the top 2% people who make tons and tons of money. So again, it's the same thing with this. On YouTube, it's even more difficult. I would say the top 0.5% of the people only make good money. But again, you have to work very, very hard to reach that point. And once you have reached that, at least you can also do consulting for companies and stuff. That's not a direct revenue from YouTube, but again, that's indirect revenue that you can generate, that you were able to do it because of your reach and all this. Companies recognize your talent and you're helping them and all these things. So these are some of the other ways, and that's why you notice now I have become very selective on my channel. I just don't try to cover every Tom, Dick and Harry product that comes out. Even in smartphones, I've become very, very selective. There's so many products that gets launched, but I'm very, very selective. I feel this product is not that great or whatever, I'll simply not cover in my channel. So again, it depends. So I would say it's difficult. It's not as easy as you feel. And if you're just looking at the YouTube AdSense revenue, then it can become very, very difficult, because sometimes, many times, your input cost will be more than the revenue that you generate directly from just AdSense. And again, if you hire people, then becomes very, very difficult. But again, as I've told you, you have to be smart about it and go about it how you do it. But I'll just get it very right. It's not easy. It's very, very difficult. Now, I would say as I've become very, very selective about the products, I make a lot more money, I would say, when I'm not making YouTube videos, because I have my other businesses, investments and all these things. If I manage them, I make a lot more money. Been doing this for like investments and all this thing for 20 years. So that helps me. So again, YouTube is my passion, and now I've become very, very selective. If I see a product is very interesting or something, then only I cover. So that's my frank opinion. It's not as easy as others say. And yes, if you're just looking at AdSense revenue, those have been actually coming down. This is by Kishan. What was your biggest disappointment of a phone in 2022? Also, what are your thoughts on the Realme 10 Pro Plus? Have they focused too much on the display and compromise on the other aspects of the phone? You have actually answered the question. I would say the biggest disappointment smartphone of 2022 for me personally was the Realme 10 Pro Plus. As I've told you, I've become very selective about the products that I cover on my channel because of the limited time and what it is. And I had very, very high expectations with the Realme 10 Pro Plus, because I feel the Realme 9 Pro Plus was one of the best mid-rangers by Realme last year, and it competed very well. In fact, it was much better than most of the Redmi phones in that range. So this year also, I had a lot of expectations with the Realme 10 Pro Plus. But to be frank, if you've seen my unboxing and the overview video of that, opinion video on that, frankly, I feel the Realme 9 Pro Plus was a far better product than the Realme 10 Plus Plus. They just concentrated on the camera, but they destroyed the software experience, which is the main thing that users will use with the Realme 10 Pro Plus. So I feel that was the biggest disappointment, because I had a lot of expectations with that device. But again, when I actually used the device, it turned out to be the opposite. Anyways, this is by Ayush. Motorola has a decent year with the value for many smartphones and highlighting of phones being clean UI. Yes. What are the areas where you expect an improvement moving forward? Yes, I would say Motorola this year launched a lot of smartphones. In fact, way too many smartphones, I feel, to be frank. But yeah, still they are maintaining the clean UI experience, close to stock Android experience, and they're not adding a lot of bloatware and stuff with updates. So that way they are a lot cleaner, I would say, compared to even Samsung in their M series. But there are some areas of improvement that Motorola can do definitely in 2023. I hope they put a little bit more attention on the image processing, that is camera software processing, because the hardware is good, but I feel it's not fully utilizing the hardware, especially in camera performance. They can improve, and also in software updates. Yes, I feel they can speed up the software updates a little bit compared to other brands. If they are able to do these two things in 2023, I feel Motorola has a very bright future. I'm keeping my fingers crossed, because having, let's say, 108 megapixel or whatever camera sensor is not everything. It's the after image processing that matters, and that's where a lot of other companies are investing millions and millions of dollars and working on it. I know Motorola is already putting a lot of effort, but they need to double down on that, I feel. Anyways, this is by Mr. Ahmed. He's saying, hey Ranjit sir, please answer this question of mine. Can you vouch for iPhone lifetime now? Is it possible to get display damage by applying OTA updates? And why don't you make a dedicated video on this topic? Should we stop updating our iPhones now completely? Sadly, even the iPhones now, some of the iPhones, not every iPhone, I would say some of the iPhones with the recent OTA update, actually their screen started having issues, and the screen completely, the OLED screen became green. And when that happens, that means the screen is damaged. And sadly, this was happening to older iPhones which are out of warranty. We have seen this green tint issue, screen getting damaged with Android phones also. Samsung had it, OnePlus had it, almost all the Android smartphone brands had it. And some of the brands, Samsung for at least this S20 Plus and OnePlus also for some of their models, acknowledged that, and they are replacing the display for free. But iPhone, being such a big company and the profit margins are way higher than Android phones, are ignoring this. In fact, I have already tweeted about this also multiple times, tagged Apple, and there was no answer. So I feel, why do people buy iPhones with such a high premium? They expect that such issues like after OTA update or something, the hardware will not get damaged, or even if it gets damaged, Apple will take care of it. But sadly, Apple is not taking care of it, and they know about this issue. This has not happened just in India. This has also happened in various other countries also. So I'm saddened by Apple, because they know about it and they're not doing anything. I feel Apple should have come forward. Yes, okay, your display got damaged after OT update or something. We will replace it for free. If that was the case, I would say. And these are not super old iPhones. I'm not talking about smartphones, old iPhones that are 4 or 5 year old. So that is something that I do not like. So I simply cannot recommend. Earlier I used to recommend iPhones. Okay, you take an iPhone, you don't have to worry about it. But that's not the case. So if you are buying an iPhone now, I would highly say opt for that extended warranty of 3 or 4 years, because the issue of display getting bad after OTA updates is now no longer restricted only to Android phones. It is also happening with the iPhones. I just want to be clear. And again, Sadik, I'm not going to make dedicated video for every brand which has an issue, man. The screen issues has been happening for so many times for a lot of Android phones. Now even Apple has added to the list. Okay. Indeed, Okay, this is an interesting question. This is by Shushant. This was regarding the AMA that I did with Xiaomi with the Mr. Anuj. Indeed, a good and informative AMA with the Anuj. But I was really wondering, why didn't you bash about those 8 plus 2 megapixel crap as you do in your videos? And when you're given a chance to give feedback, and when you were given the freedom to click anywhere, and so yes, I got to actually test out the Redmi Note 12 Pro Plus smartphone, which had the 200 megapixel camera. But guys, as this the smartphone that they give me and the software on this is not the final software. They told me they have finished almost all the optimization, major of the optimization for the 200 megapixel camera. So they told me I could test the 200 megapixel camera anywhere, no restrictions, but other things, the software was not final. That is the reason I actually didn't take, I didn't post samples from the selfies and all this thing. And in fact, I was surprised that Xiaomi gave me so much freedom to post that in the video, because I won't name the brands or whatever. I have worked with other brands also like this behind the scenes, but again, I was not allowed to talk about it or even post anything. Here, at least with the 200 megapixel camera, which they had almost optimized, they allowed us to actually take any photograph that I want in any area and talk about it. That's the reason I didn't, okay, I have to respect the company. When they told me the other areas of they're still working on it, the software is not finalized. Why should I post photographs from, let's say, the selfie or whatever? When the software is not completed. That's the reason I only posted this camera samples from the 200 megapixel. And I was surprised that Xiaomi did allow me to actually shoot anywhere, and the samples that I took, I personally took 90% of them. I was 10% Sandeep actually took it because I was standing. So I was allowed to shoot it anywhere. But again, restriction was that I could shoot only with the main 200 megapixel camera. And yes, I did give them some feedback. Let's hope some of the feedback gets implemented. And about that 2 megapixel one, I've already answered that question. And I think so that we are going to continue to see it in mid-rangers and this premium mid-rangers. I just hope brands with their slightly value flagships or whatever that are around 40,000 don't give that 2 megapixel crap. Anyways, guys, that's it for now for this tech Q&A session. Hopefully we'll have more sessions in 2023. Do let me know what you feel about the same. And I'm still intrigued about what was the one gadget in 2022 that you felt was a standout gadget and you were compelled to buy it. Would love to hear your thoughts on that. Anyways, guys, that's it for now. Thanks for watching. This is Ranjit and I hope to see you in my next video. Take care, guys.